I have been focusing on reading my physical TBR during the last 2 years with my Read It or Unhaul It challenge, and I want to continue doing our favorite challenge in 2025, but in order to do that, we need to have our starting number. So let's start by doing our recap for 2024. We need to count how many books I read or unhauled during the challenge. So these are all the ones from the challenges. But then we also have to go back into the ridiculously giant jar, and I have to remove and count all the books that I read or unhauled not during the challenge, because I finished about 110 books in 2024. And even though I used my library a ton, I did also read the books that I already own. So we have to do that. And then we have to add all the books that I bought but did not read in 2024. And I did a video on the topic, and I think the number was 55. So yeah, let's do that. I always feel like maybe I forgot to put some back in there. So, okay, the unofficial number is 30. I just saw one just fall. And it went right in the jar, and I don't know which one it is. So about 30 books that I read or got rid of during the challenge. So I was really curious and decided to count how many of them I didn't finish, which it's 8, which that's a lot, but I feel like I'm really trying to learn to put down books when I'm not enjoying them. And for some reason, I've gotten a few comments saying that this challenge is not going well. Because I'm not finding that many favorites, and I wasn't sure I was agreeing, and looking at the actual books, that's really not true. I found so many favorites throughout this challenge just this year. For example, I just read An Ember in the Ashes, which made it to my most surprising or my best books of the year. Like, I wasn't expecting it, but I gave it like a 5. I rounded up to a 5 because it was a lot of fun. I also read Other Birds, that also made it to my best books of the year. I read The 13th Tale, which was a huge surprise. I really enjoyed it. Bright Young Women, I really enjoyed that one. Malice was good too. City of Stairs too. But for some reason, that's what I wrote. I read some really good nonfictions too, like Quackery or I Contain Multitudes. And the ones that I did finish but really didn't care for, we have The Bone Season. That shocked me. I thought I was going to love this. And The Book of Edda, which I had kind of been warned, but book 1 is one of my all-time favorite books, post-apocalyptic, and book 2 was a huge ugh. But there were 8 other ones that were kind of just okay to not very good. So that's like 10 plus 8, so 18 out of 30. I understand that it sounds like I didn't really care for a lot of them, but at the same time, it makes sense. Like, if they have been on my shelf for years, sure, some of them are hidden gems or like forgotten books, but maybe some of them I've heard things or like my taste has changed. So it makes sense that in general, I wouldn't find a ton of hidden gems and like amazing books that I forgot existed. But I think that considering that, it went really well. If I have lost any papers, I'm going to put on the screen right now the other books and if they were liked or not, or read or unhauled, because that is so possible. Having 4 cats and little papers, not a good mix. So they're now back in the jar, and I'm going to go into the big one and remove all the ones that I have read or unhauled since. Oh my god, Claudia, shush, you cannot be in here. Okay, give me a minute. I'm gonna have to go through the whole jar. We have to count. Oh my god. I'm going to record these because I will not remember all these numbers. So there's one that I had gotten rid of before this year, but for some reason was still in here. So that's not going to count. But during the year, I have read or unhauled, not during the challenge, 39 books. 8 of them I did not finish and was getting rid of them. And then 38 that I did finish. Some of them I absolutely loved. Some of them I hated them, but I finished them. So 39 books. Added to however I had said was in here, 30, right? So 69 books this year that I read or unhauled that I owned before this year. Plus however it was it 23? When I did the video where I was talking about the books that I had bought this year. So do the math, future Emily, on the screen. I think I did pretty good. I said, what, 69 plus 23? That's 72, 92. 92? That doesn't make sense. Oh yeah, it's the one I didn't finish too. That seems like a lot. It's late at night. You can probably tell with the lighting. So maybe it's just sleepy me. But I think I did pretty good. However, the actual number is, I think I did good. So I'm going to go and recount because I'm not sure I was right with the number. And then we're going to add the 55 books that I bought this year that I didn't read this year. So yay, I need to get my paper and scissors. Okay, this is insane. Last year I didn't really have a proper number because when it was time to count, I was dealing with health issues and I had horrible brain fog. I couldn't count. And for some reason, all last year I thought I was at about 400, like just under 400 books unread in the jar when I started the year. No, because currently now, after removing everything without adding anything, I'm at 399. So I'm assuming I was off by like 100. So it would have made more sense to be like, I was about, 500. Oh my God, this is worse than I thought. Okay, so we have 399. I do have to add, because I noticed I read the second book in a series, and during that challenge, I would only put the next one in here. So I have to add the third book in the City of Stairs series, and then I will have to add the 55. So we're going to start the year, unless I miscounted, which is definitely possible, at 455. That feels so exact to have 400 books. I feel like I had the same thing last year. I thought I was suspicious, the numbers, but I'm going to go and double check that it was 55 books, and we're going to add them plus the one book. Give me another hour. I apparently still don't know how to count because my numbers don't work. So, I said I thought there were 55 books. Turns out there are 3 that are further in the series than I'm at. So those 3 have to go. They're not going to be counted, but I am adding 1, like I had mentioned. So, okay. But then, I haven't cut them yet, but I'm only counting 50. So I'm missing 2. I think we're just going to assume I didn't count properly. So that means I'm at 450 exactly. That is just not... That looks fake. That looks fake. We're just going to assume I can't count. So whatever. 450 books is our starting point. That makes no sense. It's so suspicious. Anyone wants to come here and count them for me? Because I'm done. I'm tired now. I'm just going to cut these. Oh, and by the way, I'm only adding 3 sci-fi. And I should have shown you. I'm only adding a few nonfiction. I'm adding a lot of what is my everything else genre. So pink is contemporary, romance, historical fiction, like everything. I'm only adding a few classics. And I'm adding a ton of fantasy, which is not surprising. But the pink one is surprising to me. And only 3 sci-fi. But I didn't read any sci-fi pretty much in 2024. It's not that surprising. I just haven't been in the mood. If you have great recommendations, I'm all ears. Earlier, when I put all the books that I had read this year or got rid of that weren't part of the challenge, I didn't really notice what genre, but I guess I can look back at the clip and kind of decide. But you can see that in general, it was pretty mixed. Like, I didn't read mostly fantasy or mostly like sci-fi or something. It was definitely all over the place. And I had found favorites in most genres too. So I feel like it was very well balanced. I'm happy with how it went, even though, again, some of you said that it wasn't going well. But I found some favorites in here, so I'm still happy to continue doing it this year. And for 2025, we are currently starting with the highly suspicious number. Oh, actually, I'm missing one. Can't forget City of Stairs, number 3, which is not the name of the series, but I'm going to continue tradition of not knowing the actual name. So, we have officially 450 books. A weirdly specific number, extremely suspicious number, but that is our start. I feel like the more year I do this challenge, the more mistakes there will be, but that's the beauty of it, right? So, 3rd year, 2025. Now, prediction. Do you think I'm going to do better than this year? Because I feel like this year I did better in terms of like going through more books than the first year. And I feel like I'm going to keep doing this, but I'm hoping I'm going to find more favorites, of course. And as I'm adding more books that I've recently bought, I feel like it's going to help because they're books I'm excited about right now compared to some of the ones that have been on there for years and years and years. I feel like my taste has changed, right? I don't read as much YA anymore. I don't read as many of the like really popular, problematic fantasy and sci-fi, right? I used to get my recommendations a lot on like must-read kind of list, and I kind of figure out what works and what doesn't for me anymore. And as much as I like to get in my comfort zone, read your favorites, I kind of know a little bit more what I like. But as I'm doing all of these challenges and going back to old favorites or old recommendations, it's going to be a bit more hit and miss than the books that I get like right now, that I buy right now. So I think it's pretty balanced in here. Obviously, I'm going to give them a good shake, but this is going to be, whoops, I'm already missing some. Can't lose more. I will be doing my first reading vlog probably mid-month, and then we're going to go from there. But yes, my prediction, I did 30, right, for this year. I think I'm going to do more than 30. That's the goal. So hopefully it goes well. Leave your own prediction in the comment section. That way at the end of the year when I do this version all over again, but for 2025, we'll be able to see if we were right or not. I hope you're excited for this challenge. It's genuinely one of my most fun one. As I'm doing it though, I'm very stressed every time because I really don't know what I'm going to read. And over time, I feel like I've become more and more of a mood reader. But 450 books in a giant jar, one girl, 2025. Let's do this. If you want to see which books I'm planning on reading during the month of January, I did my January TBR. And if you wanted to learn more about the books that I bought this year and see how many, then I will see you in my next video. Bye. Claudia.